Ferrari just dropped the fastest lap of Bahrain testing. A 1 minute 30.4 that shocked the grid. Faster initial acceleration than Red Bull. More aggressive energy deployment. And Lewis Hamilton in a car that looks like it was built to dominate qualifying. But here is the part nobody is talking about. The same data that proves the SF-26 might be the quickest car over one lap also reveals a dangerous weakness. Battery clipping before the braking zone. Rear instability in high-speed corners. A thermal shutdown that stopped Hamilton mid-race simulation. This is not just hype. This is raw telemetry. Over 400 laps of testing. An ultra-compact side pod design pushing cooling to the limit. Active aero systems that reduce drag dramatically but flirt with instability. Ferrari may have built the sharpest weapon on the grid. But is it too sharp to survive a full Grand Prix distance? Stay with me, because once you see the full Bahrain breakdown, you will understand why this season might come down to one question. Pure speed or pure survival? Day 1 in Bahrain did not feel like a cautious shakedown for Ferrari. It felt like a statement. From the first proper runs, the SF-26 looked aggressive on corner entry. Under heavy braking, the car stayed remarkably flat. That comes from the new pushrod front suspension geometry. It reduces dive, keeps the aerodynamic platform stable, and allows the floor to generate consistent load into the braking zone. That is why Ferrari looked so confident attacking turn 1. Late on the brakes, sharp rotation, minimal hesitation. But that same stiffness comes with a trade-off. The rigid front end transfers energy directly into the front tires. In cooler conditions, that led to graining, especially for Hamilton. And this is where the data begins to split between the two drivers. Charles Leclerc adapted quickly. His style thrives on a loose rear. He likes a car that rotates aggressively, one that feels alive beneath him. The nervous characteristics of the SF-26 actually suit him over a single lap. Hamilton, on the other hand, prefers progression, confidence, a rear that stays planted when the throttle comes in. Instead, he reported instability in high-speed corners. Crosswinds interacting with the new V-shaped diffuser made the rear unpredictable at times. That unpredictability is manageable in qualifying. It becomes exhausting in race trim. Now, let's talk about straight-line shock. The acceleration figures were undeniable. Ferrari's initial electrical deployment was more aggressive than Red Bull's. From 0 to 200 kilometers per hour, the SF-26 launched harder. You could see it on the GPS overlays. But halfway down the straight, the advantage faded. Clipping appeared before the braking zone. The battery depleted early, which means the final phase of the straight lacked electric assistance. That sudden drop alters overtaking strategy. It also changes defensive positioning. Hamilton felt that directly. He described the car as fun, but complex. Fun because of the raw pace. Complex because the window of perfection is narrow. And then came the defining moment. Day 3, midday heat, race simulation fuel loads. Hamilton was deep into a long run when the car shut down. Officially, Ferrari called it a combustion anomaly. Technically, sources indicate a thermal protection shutdown. The compact side pod packaging, designed for aerodynamic efficiency, leaves minimal cooling margin. Under sustained stress, temperatures climbed beyond tolerance. The system protected itself, and Ferrari lost critical race simulation data. They later opened emergency cooling exits. That improves reliability, but it costs aerodynamic efficiency, which costs performance. This is the central paradox of the SF-26. It might be the fastest car over one lap, but it operates extremely close to its thermal ceiling. Small environmental changes can have large consequences. Across the full 3 days, Ferrari completed 423 laps. Solid mileage, but not the highest. And because the final race simulation was interrupted, Ferrari entered the first Grand Prix with less hard compound degradation data than their main rivals. That missing information could matter. So Bahrain revealed something powerful. Ferrari have rediscovered raw speed, explosive acceleration, outstanding braking stability, but they have also revealed vulnerability, energy clipping, rear instability under crosswind, thermal sensitivity under sustained load. Lewis Hamilton's data confirms the potential. It also confirms the risk. And in a season this tight, managing risk may matter more than chasing headlines. Because the difference between genius and overreach in Formula One is often just a few degrees of temperature. But here is where the Bahrain story becomes even more intense. Because the real question is not whether Ferrari are fast. They are. The real question is whether they can control what they have built. Look at the bigger pattern across all 3 days. When conditions were stable, the SF-26 looked sensational. Cooler sessions, lower track temperatures, shorter runs. The car rotated beautifully. The braking stability from the push rod front suspension gave both drivers confidence into heavy stops. On pure qualifying simulations, Ferrari looked like the only team capable of taking pole away from Red Bull. But when the heat increased, the narrative shifted. Midday temperatures, higher fuel loads, longer race simulations. That is when the weakness appeared. The shutdown on day 3 was not random. It was stress-induced. Thermal accumulation. Compact side pods struggling to evacuate heat efficiently. And in Formula One, heat is relentless. Every lap builds it. Every slipstream reduces cooling air. Every defensive move increases engine load. Now imagine that scenario in real race conditions. Following another car closely for 10 laps. Rear tires overheating from aggressive torque delivery. Battery temperatures rising from constant deployment. Brake temperatures climbing in traffic. If the margin is already tight in testing, race conditions amplify everything. And that is what makes this so fascinating. Ferrari have chosen performance over comfort, over safety margin. They have built what some inside the paddock are calling a glass rocket. Lethal when everything aligns, fragile when pushed beyond its window. Now layer in the driver dynamic. Leclerc sees opportunity. His style fits the nervous rear. He can extract that explosive one-lap pace. But even he admitted that rear tire degradation remains a concern. Hamilton, meanwhile, wants consistency. He wants a car that allows him to manage stints calmly, to build rhythm over long runs. And right now, the SF-26 demands precision every single lap. That creates internal tension, not conflict, but direction. Do Ferrari calm the rear and protect tire life, or keep the platform sharp and risk thermal stress? Fred Vasseur has already ordered revisions to cooling maps and minor aerodynamic corrections for the first race. That tells you they recognize the edge. They are trying to widen the operating window. But widening the window often means sacrificing peak performance. And that trade-off could determine whether Ferrari fight for wins immediately or settle into chasing. Compare this to Red Bull's philosophy. Red Bull look mechanically infallible, consistent across conditions. Ferrari look explosive, but condition sensitive. In Bahrain, a traction-heavy circuit with heavy braking zones, Ferrari have genuine winning potential. On flowing, high-speed circuits, Red Bull's stability may prove superior. So the championship may not begin as a simple pace battle. It may begin as a management battle. Who controls temperature better? Who protects tires better? Who avoids small reliability cracks becoming large failures? Lewis Hamilton's data reveals one undeniable truth. The SF-26 is not an evolution, is a revolution. And revolutions are rarely comfortable. They are risky. They demand perfection. If Ferrari execute flawlessly, if the cooling upgrades work, if the energy clipping is smooth without losing acceleration, then that 1 minute 34 lap becomes the beginning of a title campaign. If not, it becomes another chapter in Ferrari's history of almost. And that is why the first Grand Prix will feel less like a celebration and more like an examination, because Ferrari have proven they can be the fastest. Now they must prove they can survive being the fastest. And this is where everything connects. Because Bahrain was not just a speed test, it was a stress test. Ferrari showed the ceiling of the SF-26, but they also showed the limit. 423 laps completed. Solid, but not the most on the grid. And more importantly, they did not finish a clean, uninterrupted race simulation on the final day. That missing data matters, especially on the hardest compound, because late stint degradation often decides strategy. Now think about the development direction. Ferrari are already bringing a correction package to the first race. Modified side pod exits to improve internal cooling. A reinforced floor to reduce edge flex and rear instability. A smoother engine map to make electrical delivery more progressive. That tells you something crucial. They are not standing still. They are reacting. And reacting before race, one means they saw enough in testing to know the margins were too tight. But here is the delicate balance. Every cooling outlet adds drag. Every softer engine map reduces peak acceleration. Every stability tweak can dull that sharp rotation advantage. So Ferrari are walking a line. Protect reliability without losing their qualifying edge. Help Hamilton gain rear confidence without neutralizing Leclerc's attacking style. That internal balance could define the early races, because if Leclerc takes pole but struggles with rear degradation, if Hamilton builds strong race pace but lacks that final tenth in qualifying, Ferrari must choose which path leads to more points. And that decision will not be theoretical. It will happen in real time, under pressure, against a Red Bull that looks mechanically bulletproof. Now consider the psychological layer. Hamilton does not look defeated. He looks energized. The challenge excites him. He sees potential in this car. He knows that if they unlock consistency, they can win. Leclerc, meanwhile, feels this is his moment. He believes the raw pace is finally there. But Ferrari's history creates doubt. One retirement, one overheating issue, one energy-clipping miscalculation, and the narrative shifts instantly. Because Formula One is brutal with momentum. Bahrain testing revealed two Ferraris. The pole position Ferrari, and the survival Ferrari. The question now is which one appears when the lights go out. If the cooling upgrades widen the window just enough. If the smoother power map preserves rear tires without sacrificing launch speed.